lighting and recording. Oh,
What's that,
there it
Dave?
is. Never mind. It does say now the meeting's being recorded.
Yeah,
Are
I
you-
just realized I wasn't recording that.
Okay.
So
Did you spotlight yourself?
it is. Why, you're not
Okay.
seeing it?
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
Now I am.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah, I should be full screen. So back to what I was saying about these pieces were cutoffs for the corners for this big, huge thing he wanted to turn around. And I said, I'm not going to turn all that, take the time to turn all that wood off. So I just cut it off with a saw and then ran them on the joiner to get them flat and glued them together to make these nice blanks. And I'm, thought, well, what am I going to do with them? And I said, well, those nice candlesticks would be real nice to make those out of. So I made quite a few of them. Haven't sold a damn one yet. So I don't know if I'm asking too much for them or if just people don't want them anymore. But we'll see. Eventually they'll sell, I think. So what I'm going to do is run you through the steps on how I do this. Obviously it is drilled out for the candle. And what I do is I recess the bottom to chuck it up, which makes it pretty easy to turn. So what I've done is I've marked my centers. So I'm going to put this between centers first. And square up the ends and get a tenon on it where I can grip it. And once I get it on the chuck and grabbed, then I can drill the bottom recess, turn it around and chuck it up that way. And go ahead and turn the thing. So let's switch cameras here. Let's try this one here, see what that looks like. So that's the overhead. And what I'm using is a my 4-prong drive center that fits in the chuck. What I did when I made the other ones is I actually used a larger chuck and just threw the square end in between the chuck jaws. So that's another way to get it started. Get your clearance, lock her down. And I do most of the work on these with a spindle roughing gouge. This would be a good project for a skew. I'm not real good with a skew, so I don't use it a whole lot. That's probably why I'm not real good with it, because I don't use it enough. So we crank this thing up and make her round. tenon on that, square it up so we can chuck it. All right. Okay, I'll go down to the other end and prepare that to drill the bottom so that we can chuck it up with expanding into it. And you can finish the bottom that way, and that way the bottom's finished as you continue on. Now I'm running this thing 1200 RPM. So let's switch up here. All right, so we're around there. Square this end. Again, using a parting tool. Slightly dish that. And at this point, if you want, you can just slightly round that corner. So now what I'll do is I'll change out to the drill chuck. going to use a 2 1/8 inch Forstner bit. And obviously slow your RPM down considerably when you're drilling a hole this size. Three 3/16, a little less than a quarter. All you really need to go. Because you're basically going to be between centers almost all the time anyway, except when you're drilling the top hole. So. Now, what you want to do, if you're going to finish this bottom off, which I would recommend at this point, if you want to finish bottom, another thing you can do is, depending on the size of these things and weight, you could drill another pocket in there and pour some lead in there. But I'll just take a quick little pass. Now, you got to be really careful because you got a lot of leverage sitting out here on this chuck. So you can't go in here and take a heavy cut. So just clean up the bottom a little bit. Get rid of that nipple from or that indentation from the Forstner bit. Do whatever sanding, finishing you're going to do. Go ahead and put a line or two in there if you like it, or a place to write your name and the type of wood if you're so inclined. This is just a homemade point tool that I showed you guys several months ago on how to make this whole tool. So I will flip it around and expand our jaws into the mortise. Don't tighten it up all the way yet. Bring your tailstock up and get it up into that center. Yeah, don't tighten it at all. Let it fall out. And throw your chuck key on the floor and lose it in the shaving pile. There we go. Good thing we have another chuck key. Tighten that up. Now, obviously, with something being laminated like this, you might not want to super tighten it, but I don't think you stand a chance of popping those glue joints. And if you were using regular piece of wood with, not laminated up, depending on, give yourself enough meat, with the size of the hole that you don't take a chance on splitting it, on the end grain, because this is a turned end grain. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and take a little material off the top here and square it up again all the way down. And go back to the drill chuck. And the hole for the candle, I believe, wants to be 7/8. So it will accommodate I believe the standard candles are 3/4 of an inch in diameter approximately. So unless you want to use an insert, and then you just have to size the hole according to the size of the insert. Some of the companies sell those brass. I don't know if they're solid brass or if they're just black brass plated steel inserts. So since I do not have in my possession that I can find a 7/8 Forstner bit, I'm just going to use a paddle bit. And again, we're going to drop that speed. Down about 300 and approach this thing kind of slow because these bits like to wiggle. As you can see. Try something here. Oh, you want that hole about 3/4 of an inch deep is probably fine. I think that's about where we're at now, close enough. It's not critical. Go back to your live center. And of course, the one way or the Powermatic or the Peachtree copies will fit inside that hole. And, you know, you can put your centerpiece in there. So now we're locked up good and tight between centers. So go ahead and remove some material here. So first thing I'm gonna do is make the whole thing pretty much round. I'll come back down here to the bottom, which should have been finished, but it kind of, when I let it fall out of the chuck, it kind of got dinged up. So I'm gonna clean this up. Okay. right. So now what we need to do is we need to figure out our dimensions. Now you can do a shape like that. You can move this down. You can make them equal with the top being slightly smaller. It's all a matter of whatever you want to do. There's no set rules on this thing. I would suggest going online and looking up Rudy Solnick's work, and you'll see, what he does or what he did, and give you some ideas of what, proportions to do. So basically what you want is something that's flowing and pleasing to the eye. There's no rules, there's no set dimensions on anything like this. So whatever you like. Switch to a spindle gouge. Change this a little bit, round this up. Something a little different. This is actually too big in diameter. Switch to the smaller spindle roughing gouge. little closer there where the tool runs. Now, another tool that works real well on this is those old Craftsman tools that we've talked about so many times. Continental style gouge. This is just ground at a 45. That's pretty much it. This isn't the greatest shape I've ever done, but you get the idea of what we're trying to accomplish here. So now just slow it down and you can do all your sanding and finishing, which I'm not going to do, obviously. I'll just go sand, sand, sand. And I will throw a little finish on it just for the hell of it, even though it's not finished. That way you can see the color come up. So that's the general idea. Like I said, this particular shape isn't super nice. Could probably use a little work. But you know, it's kind of cool with the laminated piece of wood. I don't know if you can see that. You know, where the different blocks of wood are glued together, you can see the points. So, you know, you can use regular, just a hunk of log, obviously. I thought this was a good project for those cutoffs that I had. And hopefully somebody else will think they're good too and buy them to put on their table. So. It's basically it. for this
Nice job. Thank you, Ralph.
demonstration. Just something to do. Experiment with the shapes. And I'll post a couple of links so you can get some better ideas of the shapes. And the originals are quite a collector's item.
I would think that on this type of thing, this type of project, that the old adage shiny stuff sells, that you would do better with a nice gloss finish that's buffed out. At least at our shows, I think that might work better.
Shiny stuff?
Shiny stuff.
Yeah, what they say, SSS. Shiny stuff sells. Yeah, I mean, you could put, you could use a poly on these. You could use lacquer. You could get them really, really shiny if you wanted.
And if you use something like a deft that you could buff afterwards, it would really bring out all the grain. It would be beautiful.
Yeah. Obviously, you're going to need. I mean, this was just a quick.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And if you're depending on how much time you want to spend on these and what kind of money you want to try and charge for them, obviously the more time you put in them, the more money you should charge for them. But there's also a limit as to what people will pay. So, it gets to the point where you've got hours and hours and hours in a project and nobody's going to pay for that time. So, those are the kind of pieces you put on the shelf and keep for yourself, unless, or price them how you want to price them high, and hopefully the right person will come on and say, oh, I love that, and buy it at the right price. So you never know. And like with anything, price wise, if you're into it, sometimes you can play let's make a deal. If you price it extra high, then there's a little room to come down if you're so inclined, if you think people will go for it. So I try not to do that too often. But yeah, that one obviously is just oil. The ones that I have, a lot of them I have are just oil finish, but they're a lot better finished than this. They're nicer looking. This one here has a wipe-on satin poly, which I don't think you can really see. That I hit with like 4/0 steel wool, and I could probably use a couple more coats. So just an experiment with the poly, which I'm not a big fan of it, but some people make it work really well for themselves. So,
Ralph, I've not used the wipe-on poly. Can you buff that?
sure, you can buff anything.
No, some of the like the Minwax polycrete, you can't buff.
Oh, the
because
polyacrylic?
Yeah, polyacrylics. Because they tend to melt.
Well, yeah, you can't get aggressive with it.
Right.
I mean, I wouldn't try and put compound on it. I might just put a little wax on it and buff it lightly. But plus it also depends, I think, on the cure time. If it says 24 hours cure, you let it sit for a week, you might be able to do more with it. But yeah, some finishes, lacquer, you can melt that if you get too aggressive with the buffing. So, actually, depending on the wood, you can put it on the buffing system and with no finish and make that stuff shine like a diamond. Mr. Piper, you want to finish that?
Nope, Gary's not here. That's his saying.
Oh, okay. Yes, sir. All right. So, any questions pertaining to this?
Great demo, thank you.
Thank you.
What size blank did you start with?
This one was about 15 inches tall and a little over 3 inches in square. You know, it's whatever you've got.
Right.
I've made this style of candlestick in, you know, sizes from this tall, you know, 4 or 5 inches, 6 inches tall on up to, you know, 15, 16 inches tall. So, you know, and obviously the diameter wants to match the height. You know, you don't want a 3-inch diameter thing that's, you know, 6 inches tall. Although you could make it work. I've got a couple in the house. I'm not going to bother to go get them. But, you know, one interesting thing I did as I just took a rough sort of square blank, you know, bandsawed or chainsawed square blank, and left the bottom, you know, the bottom section of it rough square from the saw finish, and then work my way up and turn the rest of it. So it starts out as just a rough hunk of wood and then finishes up at the top nice. Kind of I guess, a rustic look. So, and I have done that with goblets and other things. And, you know, I made a goblet kind of like that I thought was just ugly as sin. And this woman came up and grabbed it right off the shelf, said, "Oh God, I love that. I got to have it." And just bought it right there. So first sale of the day. So you never know.
The cover of the new AAW magazine has something similar where it's just a rough log, and then guy's got a goblet coming off the top of it.
Right.
And then vice versa, it's just the stem of a goblet with the rough log on top of that.
I haven't had a chance to really glance at it. I don't know if y'all noticed the back cover. That guy Dan Stevenson's from kind of central West Coast Florida area. I see his work on Facebook a lot. He basically, I think, strictly does Norfolk, and he's come up with some wild looking stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of it's I think a lot more carving than turning, but he starts out everything on the lathe, I believe. So take a look at that on the back cover with what he's done with a piece of Norfolk. It's very interesting.
Here's the front cover.
Yep.
And the back cover.
Yeah.
Was a nice explanation they had on how he did it too.
Yeah.
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't read it yet.
Yeah.
You see him, don't you, Brian, on Facebook?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Instant gallery.
instant gallery.
Can I show something that I did following this idea that Ralph that I left this part? Can you see?
Yeah.
It's just the
Go back to that again.
yeah, it was cutted. But this area was like the original bark, not the bark, and then here I have
Oh, wow.
Oh, look at you.
I like that. That is beautiful.
so I have in this area I have the
Rough wood.
where I cut it, right, in the saw, but here I have all the and I did like something to put a ball or something in the top, but it's not like a candle stick, but it could be.
Could
It's
be.
really big. It's really big. Can you
I
see?
love it.
Nice.
Thank you. Just I reminded of this piece when Ralph was telling us about what he did.
That's good. Yeah, yeah, you can call me. That'll be great. And I'll talk.
So anybody else?
Yeah, I've got something here. It's we're doing some mahogany natural edge.
Can't see it. It's because of your background.
Yeah.
Can you see it now? Let me get rid of that background. Hold on. Now I know how to do it, maybe. There we go. That's better.
Nope,
No,
disappearing.
No, still there.
It's a let's see.
It's a ball.
Oh, let's see, preferences, virtual. Okay, here we go.
There you go.
That's the normal.
Nice.
It's about, I don't know, 10 inches.
Wow, nice.
Thanks.
Very nice.
What I did here, I like the features.
I love it.
What I did, this is the first bowl. And usually when I do these bowls, I use poly. I use rub-on poly, about 3-4 coats. This is what Joe Self does. That's where I learned this from. I use rub-on poly. You buy the rub-on poly or you can make your own. I found it was just as easy to buy it because when I made it and did 50-50, hold on. And when I did the 50-50 myself, it seemed always heavy. It didn't seem right. So I buy the 50-50 and I add another, maybe a quarter of mineral spirits to it. And so in this particular case, that's all I put on here. Then after the mineral spirits, I would put spray poly. And that really gives it that really glossy plastic. But this one is just strictly all rub-on poly. And since I thinned down the rub-on poly that you buy from Minwax, it almost dries instantly. So within an hour, I could put another coat on. So you can put a lot of coats on pretty quick. But I like the way it turned out. And also something else I did here, see if I could find it. There was a crack in there that I didn't notice till I started getting into it. So what I did was I had some dust and on top of the poly, I put the dust in there, put CA glue on and wiped it. And you can't tell I put CA glue on it and it filled in the crack with the dust. You see, if you look at it close and look at it, I can't see that there was any CA glue rubbed over it. But then after that, I did another rub on poly. So anything lobby there with the CA glue, I sanded it away a little bit. That's another thing too. In between each coat, I do a wet sanding with mineral spirits and maybe 800 or 600 grit. Wet sandpaper and mineral spirits. So that way it's a lot faster than, I saw some dust here. I thought it was a spot I missed, but it's dust.
Termites.
Yeah, I did about, this is at, I don't know if you remember a while ago, Dumpers had a bunch of mahogany.
You still got a bunch.
Yeah, I got a bunch. I made about 5 bowls like this. A lot of them a lot smaller too, all natural edge. So I didn't bring them all, just the one. That's what I've got, Ralph.
Okay.
Mr. Friendly.
Yeah, I've got a couple things. I'm only going to show one. But a couple of months ago, I showed a project that was a demo bowl it was doing everything wrong because I didn't leave enough meat to true it up again. And I think it was Ralph, but somebody mentioned that I should go ahead and resand it. So I didn't finish that one up and I sent it to Brian. Brian's got pictures for that one. I've already got that. That's going to be shipped out to my daughter, so it's packed up. But then I did another bowl. This is Honduras mahogany, and it's iridescent. It's got, I don't think it's showing, but there's iridescence in the grain. And this stuff is just absolutely beautiful. And like Dave, I don't know if you can see it, but I ended up with a little crack in here. And I used a little of the sawdust and the super glue to fill in the crack. And it did real nice. And then, of course, just a little Howard's finish, and it puffs up beautiful. So I will have 2 pictures coming out, I think, right, Brian?
Yes. Mhm.
Thank you.
So, Jim,
Next.
You're on mute, Jim. Jim, you're on mute.
Nothing at all.
you're on mute.
I got unmuted.
Not you,
Okay.
Jim.
There we go.
Okay, better. Sorry.
Start over.
I saw John Beaver's demo on AAW a couple months ago, making wave bowls.
Oh, yeah.
Essentially, you cut a square block up and then put a piece of veneer in it. And then you turn it and it comes out, and the wave goes around, and it shows also inside too. So it goes completely through. And it was a nice little project.
Nice.
Looks
So
like
you
you-
just bandsawed the block and glued a piece in there?
Correct, yes, bandsaw the block, and the important thing is you put 2 little dowels in you sacrifice those to help keep it all aligned. And then they're turned out later, so everything stays matched up.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, so when you put it back, it indexes correctly.
Correct, yeah, your grain
Right,
lines up by doing that and stays in place.
Good
So
idea.
this is maple veneer and a piece of teak that I had that was squared up already. So it was interesting and fun.
Nice looking, very nice.
Thank you.
I got something. I got some stuff. So I got this little mahogany box. Yeah. Did a little pyrography on it. Can everybody see that?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Mahogany. And normally I trip on a mahogany branches trying to get to the good stuff, but said, well, what can you do with the branch? So here's a little branch you can make mushrooms on. So here's a larger mushroom, and hey, that's pretty easy to make, even between centers. It just takes a couple of minutes to make these. So you make them in a couple different shapes, and you can't go wrong. So there's even if you put them on wonky or something, the edges gives more character to the edges on the mushrooms. So, and those are fun to do and pretty quick. And I got this piece of wild tamarin. This is a piece where right in the middle where 3 branches came together. So of wild tamarin.
Trifecta.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So it's pretty good. That's it for me.
Thank you.
I've got some pens. I got an order for 50 pens. Am I muted? No. And here's the first, and they're being laser engraved. So I've got a laser engraver, and these are Penn State. They're called Raw 303 stainless steel roller ball pens. The first one I showed you was zebra wood. This one is actually a mahogany cabinet door. Let's see if that makes it any different. There you go. Prove the
Back up
picture.
just a little.
Prove the picture because it takes me out of it. But this is but it's stainless steel. The cap alone weighs a ton, but it's a rollerball pen. I've got an order for 50 of them. I've got 42 on order. They're sold out. So hopefully I get the other 8 soon. So if anybody's got those, I'll buy them off of you. That's it.
On your laser printer, that you have a rotary attachment, or they can do it around the curve?
It's actually, it just does it around the curve. It's not that big of a curve. It's a flat, I don't have a rotary attachment to it.
Right.
This may lead me to buying a smaller laser engraver that does have the rotator on it.
Gotta buy them tools and equipment.
Yep. Well, I didn't get a shirt with my pen
Did you
kits
get a
that
shirt
came in
with your
yesterday.
laser engraver?
No, but they sent me M&Ms with my pens.
Oh,
M&M.
That must be Chad Schimmel,
No, it was exotic blanks.
exotic blanks, okay.
well, at least you've got room.
Yeah. For what? For the M&Ms?
Well, I don't know. No, I mean, your garage, at least the last time I was there, it wasn't full.
Well, that's because everything's on wheels and can be pushed off to the walls.
Yeah, well, mine sort of is too, but
Ralph, I got some stuff to show.
bring it.
All right.
So I had to leave the resin for a little bit because I got a request for some wooden espresso cups.
Oh,
And I know that sounds odd, but I guess the person wanted it. So what I did is I kind of made them look like little barrels. So it's the same idea as turning a small goblet or a little cup for a coffee scoop.
right.
Just hollowed out the inside. I did want them, since they're short, to not fall over. So I left the bottom about 1/4 inch thick, so a little bit of weight.
Right.
I finished the inside with a food safe finish, which I'm sure the first time they pour coffee in it is going to disappear. And I finished the outside with Deft lacquer spray. And I just did a little bit of the wire burning on the edge to give it the look. And this was some spalted maple. I did have to fill some holes. So I filled them with, they didn't go all the way through. So they're just holes that are on the outside. Filled them with actually coffee grounds and super glue. So
That's appropriate.
yeah. So keep with the theme of the coffee. So I did 6 just in case. Even they didn't want, I think, that many, but I figured they're gonna last. Depends how much they use them, you know. Hopefully they don't stick them in the dishwasher.
Well, yeah, let's hope they don't.
You know. So and the funny thing is, the person that wanted this had bought a coffee scoop I had made and was using that coffee scoop to drink coffee with. And I'm like, that's not the intention of the product. But we'll see how it goes.
Hey, once they buy it, they can do whatever the hell they want with it.
Yeah, exactly. And then I did do another fountain pen, and this one's kind of neat. It's what they call an eyedropper, where you can use a cartridge for the ink, but this one is polished inside. So let me see if you could pretty much see straight through it. So you could just fill it directly with ink, and you'll see the level of ink as it goes, as it's used. And it's made, this is resin in the middle, and the outside is called limeade acrylic. I got it at Turner's Warehouse. So it's a more of an older acrylic. So this stuff tends to melt if you go too fast when you're turning it, versus the resin, you can just power through it. You know, so it was kind of tricky to get this joint to be smooth because of that fact. It's like once you hit past the joint, it wanted to dig right into the resin. So it was interesting. It is threaded and epoxied in, so that part is sealed so they can fill it. And a lot of people have liked these this iridescent sort of metal hardware on some of the pens I've been making. So I made a few more of these. These are just like the regular, I forget what they call them, Gatsby pens or Monarch, whatever. But the finish is what everybody likes. I've seen this finish even in silverware, at Brandsmar. Everybody likes this rainbow finish. I don't know why it's so popular. But that's what I got so far. I did make some resin handles for these. I'll send a picture because I already had to ship them out. It's basically a long stainless steel rod with a hook on the end. And it's called a pigtail flipper. It's for barbecuing.
Uh-oh.
And I made the resin. Well, I didn't cast the resin. I bought the resin, but I turned the handles. So they came out real nice. The resin for those type of barbecue tools is pretty cool looking. But that's all I got.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, everybody's being quiet here.
Yep.
Everybody's muted themselves. Or did I do that?
Everybody muted themselves. Ralph, I got an email, I was telling, some people responded. Tony Cedeno, a former member, seems, emailed me, he wants to rejoin, so I'll be sending that info out to him later tonight.
Okay. Yeah, he was, a couple of meetings ago, he showed up. And
Okay.
said he was interested in re-hooking up with us. So,
Actually, we even had one of the picnics at his house years and years ago.
yeah, well, actually more than one.
Yeah. We used his house and then Dave Cross's house afterward.
Tom Cross.
Tom Cross.
Yeah, we went from Tony's to Tom's,
To Waldo's.
and then to Waldo's, and then to nowhere. So, I'm assuming we'll be able to have a picnic next year. I'm certainly hoping we will. And like I said earlier, I'm waiting for a response from the school. So if I don't hear anything tomorrow, I'll hit them up Monday and see what's going on. So anybody else got anything they want to show? Tiffany? No? Only a picture of a fox?
No, I haven't done any turning. I've been working.
Okay, well, that's good. Got to work. Pay those taxes so that, you know, us retired guys can get our Social Security every month.
Right.
Thank you, Tiffany.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Keep working. And work harder, damn it. I want a raise.
Oh my gosh. I'm still working now.
Well,
Been a long day.
yes. Well, we're glad you could make it. So anyway, all right. So anybody else got anything they want to show? No. Okay. Anybody else got anything they want to talk about? Turning related? Well, if that's the case, then I will end the meeting. And we'll see you. Reminder, the workshop has been moved a week ahead for this month and July.
July what?
I sent an email about that, which everybody should have.
July 10th,
Uh,
which is the second Saturday.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Let me look.
June 12th and July 10th, yeah.
June 12th and July 10th.
Yep.
Since hopefully everybody will be at the AAW symposium on the 17th.
Yeah.
By the way, if you haven't registered, there's still time. It's not that expensive. It's $45. And if I remember right, you're going to be able to watch it for 2 weeks afterwards.
Yeah. That's what I recall.
So. Okay, well,
Right.
I guess that's it. So I will end the meeting.
Okay.
All right,
Take care,
Good
everybody.
night.
bye.
Thanks,
Nice.
Ralph.
Next time.
Bye.
Great
Thanks,
demo.
Ralph.
Thank you.
Good night, Ralph.
Good night,
Good
guys.
demo.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye.